Hello everyone, welcome to another FAQ Monday. I'm your host Fluff, and today we are going to get to 6 more of your very important burning questions from which I chose from a pile of 500. So feel good about that. First question, what amp is sitting right behind you? Is it new? Fluff, what is that amp right behind you? I was trying to figure out what amp that is behind Fluff's head the entire time. Boy, you guys, I will say you guys are good, and kudos. That was just a few of the many questions I got asking what is exactly behind my head right here. And the answer to your question is, it is one of these. And this is a JCM 800 kit amp from the fine folks at Mojo Tone, and they put it together for me, and they did a few mods for me, and they sent it on over along with a bunch of pickups. For those of you who don't know, all of the parts that Fastback buys for my signature beard comber pickups come from Mojo Tone and have always come from Mojo Tone. And so we've always had kind of a decent relationship, and they contacted me and said, hey, we have a bunch of pickups that we would like to show your fans, and we also want to send you this awesome JCM 800 amp. And I said, yes. Please, come on, send to me, please. It is not a stock JCM 800 circuit. The bright caps have been taken off, an extra gain stage has been added, and there's a few other things that I'm sure I have missed. And Steve Snyder, the wonderful gentleman over at Mojo Tone, I am sure can tell you much more about it, and I will ask him when I make the official video for the amp, and I will list all the things that have been done to it, and so on and so forth. But you can expect to hear this amp very soon in the first Mojo Tone pickup demo, which will be posted up in a couple of days for Paul from Between the Buried and Me's signature pickup. So stay tuned. Hey Fluff, what's your opinion on Gibson Explorers and other Explorer-shaped guitars? Thanks. For me, it's all about the finish with the Explorers. Some of them I think are just incredibly ugly, while others I think are fantastic. And the two that come to my mind that I think are fantastic are Bill Kelleher's Golden Axe. I love the color scheme. And Brendan Small's Thunder Horse, the Silverburst Explorer. That was brilliantly done. I really like a white Explorer. I think the black with the white pickguard looks funny for some reason. I think it's the way it spreads and makes the shape look in certain angles. They're really comfortable to play though, and I will probably get one some point in the future. I definitely see myself getting an Explorer just to have it. You know, Dave Grohl always looks so cool playing an Explorer, and I think I need to explore it up in here. If the Riff Fairy came down and said, pick a riff from history and it would be yours, what would it be? That is one of the most challenging questions ever, but I think it would be a Black Sabbath riff of some kind. It would either be Children of the Grave or Iron Man, or something like that. Possibly a Metallica riff like Master of Puppets. But I'm pretty sure at this point in time, I would probably choose Iron Man from Black Sabbath, just because that is so titanic, and I know it's easy to undersell that now because all of us have, you know, heard it so many times, and anybody who's watching this video has never known a world without the Iron Man riff. So I think back then, to write something like that would just be amazing, and to be able to claim that as yours would be even better. Asking as a fellow Bill Kelleher fan, what's your opinion of the Yamaha SG, or SBG in the US? Like the Explorer, I really think it depends on the amount of bling the guitar has, and I really like the look of the Yamaha SG with the trim and the binding around the circumference of the body. I don't really like the look of it without it, and I like the fancy versions of the Yamaha SG that I've seen over the years. The 70s ones are super cool, and they have lots of mojo, and I would definitely love to check one out in the future. And if anyone knows anyone at Yamaha, hook me up, man. Hey Fluff, you've got a lot of high gain amp heads. Would you ever consider getting something more vintage sounding, Fender, Vox, etc.? Or are the cleans on your other head satisfactory for you? As I'm sure a lot of you have noticed recently, I've been getting a lot of more vintagey instruments, namely the Gibsons, that I've just been going nuts over for some reason. I've just been on a huge Gibson kick lately, and I have been written a lot of times asking why the cleans and the playthroughs aren't so good. And the main reason that is because for years and years and years and years, I was worried about the high gain side of the amps that I bought. And normally with high gain amps, they just don't have that great of a clean channel. The exception being the Randall Thrasher right behind me, which has one of the best clean channels I have ever heard in any amp. However, I do intend to get some more vintage style amps just to have, you know, an old Hiwatt or maybe a Fender or something along those lines, because I'm definitely getting more interested in the vintage tones, and I'm definitely moving away from the super chugga chugga, you know, the trend on the YouTube channels and the trend in my music has been the chug fest, and I'm so over that stuff. I am so over just the super brutal blast beat stuff. I'm over it. It's been done. I've done it. And I'm really gonna try to go into a more melodic, bigger scene-scape type of stuff with the music that you see in the video. So stay tuned for that. But to answer your question, yes, I definitely plan on getting more vintage style stuff soon. Does the older production guitar have a better sound / tone than the newer production? The short answer to your question, sir, is it depends. To make a blanket statement of a vintage instrument sounds better than a new production one would be a little erroneous. And that is, the reason is because the vintage instruments that have survived till present day have survived because people hung on to them because they sounded good. Make no buts about it, they did make really bad sounding instruments back then, and those instruments just don't survive, and people either neglect them or pawn them off or get rid of them otherwise. And it's all about the wood. The quality and choice cut of the wood matters most in a decent guitar. You can have a crappy sounding vintage guitar and a fantastic sounding modern guitar, and 9 times out of 10, it'll be because of the wood. And every piece of wood has a different tonal property, and every piece of wood is different, and it just depends on that specific piece of timber. And before you ask, don't even get me started on wood has no bearing on tone, because people who say that are completely brainless and do not understand anything pertaining to wood properties and electronics, period. At any rate, guys, that's all the time I have today. If you have a question, please leave them down below in the comments, or if you want to do it anonymously, go on to my Ask FM question thing, and maybe you will end up on a future video. Again, my name is Fluff. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.